Hello everyone, welcome to yet another day in the clown decade, the decade where things are only going to get worse before they get better. And today we have to talk about the Witcher 4 trailer because while I agree that the culture war has definitely melted the left-wingers' brains much more, this is an example of the culture war melting right-wingers' brains quite substantially. So for most of this video the trailer is going to be playing in the background because it's the main topic of the video. Because apparently the protagonist of Witcher 4, Ciri, which if you've played Witcher 3 you will know quite deeply who that is, has apparently been, how did one Twitter user put it, completely hit with the DEI ugly stick. What the F is this Ciri, and her voice actor is different too. I'm watching this live right now, I'm not thrilled, I'm sad dude. And I basically just have to disagree. Don't get me wrong, there is absolutely an uncanny valley feel with this trailer, especially when it comes to Ciri's model. However, I do want to say that I believe that this is simply just this particular screenshot. Going back to the trailer in motion, where this particular screenshot came from, she looks good. She looks good as a model. She looks like Ciri. When I was watching this, I didn't have a moment of, oh geez, is that Ciri? I had a, oh, that's Ciri, cool. And if you head to other clips within the same trailer, again, she just looks good. She looks good in the model, she looks good in the armour. She looks like a fit woman, which is what Ciri is, especially now that she has clearly become a Witcher. And we'll get into the lore issues of that as well, don't worry. And of course, when you start looking at younger Ciri, yeah, she looks slightly different. We don't know full details of this game or where it's based yet in terms of timescale or even in terms of the world of The Witcher. However, there is absolutely no doubt here that she does look different. If we actually get a decent still from the trailer, as you can see, Ciri looks older, she looks grittier, and she looks gruffer. And I'm only ever going to actually touch upon the lore because I know quite a lot of it by memory anyway. A reason for this change is because in the first picture, this is Ciri effectively after being a multi-dimensional tourist, and I mean that in the most literal way possible. In the books, Ciri, when she mastered her power of travelling through different worlds, which is the Witcher's universe's version of the multiverse, she is effectively a travelling tourist, and even in the books she meets, I think it's either Sir Galahad or Sir Lancelot, one of King Arthur's knights anyway. And while she does carry her sword and she is trained to be a Witcher, she is effectively going round all these different worlds, being a tourist, seeing what they have to look at, and you're of course not going to look particularly gruff. However, as you can tell from Ciri's viper eyes, she has gone through the trial of the grass, and this is a whole different Ciri as a result. She is going to look slightly more masculine. Going through the trial of the grass is effectively hormone replacement therapy on steroids. It's a traumatizing experience which, based off the lore, I think it's like 3 in 10 boys survive and basically no girls survive, bearing in mind they're typically given these sorts of things when they're 9 or 10 years old. Ciri has been through it as an adult, and I have no doubt that with her power to go through space and time due to her elder blood, and frankly she is very unique, I would imagine that they are going to lean into that to say that's how she survived it, or even possibly because each school has a different trial, are going to lean into saying, well, she went through a trial that is much less traumatizing, however, will also allow her to become a Witcher, just not as good a Witcher, say, as those from the School of the Wolf, like Geralt, who went through further mutations anyway, or Lambert, or Vesemir. What I'm saying is that this is all fairly lore accurate. And not only that, but the main thing people are talking about is the way she looks, which, as I say, at least from this still, and hell, we'll go back to moving pictures now, I only really have positive things to say about it, apart from there's a few shots that make her look a bit uncanny. That's about as far as I go. I mean, with the moving parts now, she's dressed like a female Witcher, lightweight but sturdy armour. Hell, let's be fair, with the way that The Witcher has usually designed females, the outfit is rather figure-hugging, let's be fair here. Calling this DEI uglification, I think is just moronic, but I guess at this point, we shall get back into the Twitter arguments. Oh, by the way here, yes, she is taking a Witcher potion, which should kill normal people, which again is showing that she has gone through the trial of the grass. I'm sorry if I'm going on a bit of tangents here, but this is my favourite fictional canon created, so I am getting quite excited about this. Anyway, the Actman, who I would not say is particularly a leftist, but certainly was on the wrong side of the argument when it came to pronouns in Starfield, has planted his flag firmly in the, oh, if you don't think that Ciri looks good here, then you're gay. Which isn't quite as puerile as I'm going to go. However, I am going to directly say to people that if you think this particular image of a woman is ugly, then I think you need to go to Specsavers. Well, Carl Benjamin then decides to put his philosophy degree to use and says, in reply to this, rather than sexualising the conversation, why not address the aesthetic aspects of it? Which, the first part of that's okay. And again, the aesthetic aspects of it, the aesthetics are fine. Looks like a Witcher universe, it looks like Ciri. As far as canon goes as well, this is all within lore as far as I can tell, or at least with the fanfiction part of it, it's not absolutely breaking it. For what reason is the destruction of beauty good? What's the need to further to destroy a high standard? Who benefits? If one wants to demonstrate ugliness, what is the lesson being imparted? Which I think is just a monumentally stupid thing to say, personally, because the whole discussion here is that Ciri is getting older. She is no longer in her early 20s, late teens, which I can't exactly remember how old she is in Witcher 3, but she is still fairly young, and it's quite clear from this trailer here that she has got older, and as I say, definitely gone through the Trial of the Grass, which is a traumatising experience. So, okay, let's address the aesthetic aspects of it. What reason is the destruction of beauty good? Well, it's showing that she is aging, and it is showing that she is becoming a Witcher through the traumatising trials that it makes. Leaning into a, masculine hero more than a feminine one, sure. But let's be fair here, we're all Lord of the Rings fans here. It's effectively what Eowyn goes through to eventually lead up to one of the best lines of the trilogy.
I am no man.
Which goes to the next point. What is the need to further to destroy a high standard? Well, nothing's being destroyed here, is it? Ciri is still looking the way she looks in Witcher 3. And, Carl, even you've mentioned in the past how as women get older, and if they age gracefully, it's a fine thing. Yet they don't have the same standard as beauty as they had when they were 21. But gracefully aging through your 30s and 40s is still a whole different type of beauty in its own way. And it's fair to say, I think, that that is what Ciri is going through. Who benefits it? Well, I'm not being funny. If Ciri looked like how she looked in Witcher 3 after going through Trial of the Grass and fighting dark fantasy monsters, I would be taken out of my immersion quite a bit. If one wants to demonstrate ugliness, what is the lesson being imparted? Well, pointless to even try and go into that because, again, this is the image that Carl is saying is ugly. This is not ugly by any stretch of the imagination. This is pretty much how most Hollywood actresses in their 20s look. And no, I do not mean the DEI types. Anyway, Dev then gets involved in this and has one of his rare good takes. So Sargon and co are wrong here. I agree with Dev. There's several reasons why she has downgraded her beauty. So obviously, as he points out, Ciri isn't 21 anymore. Yeah, exactly. Women tend to age gracefully. Again, anyone who says that Ciri in this trailer wouldn't get it is lying to themselves. And it's effectively just right-wing virtue signalling. I mean, I'm not being funny, but I've said it before. I think a lot of people open up to the insult of incel quite a lot, and this is one of those times where I think, yeah, you're just asking to be called incels here. 2, life on the road as monster slayer is harsh. Yep, that's my point of killing dark fantasy monsters. And 3, the process of becoming a Witcher has a masculising effect. Yes, this is it's hormone replacement therapy on steroids, which is one reason why women haven't done it. And he even quotes directly from the book. I believe this is from Blood of Elves, which is the first actual novel in the series rather than collection of short stories. And long story short, the way that they talk about the Trial of the Grass is effectively, oh, I'm glad you haven't put Ciri on it because it completely changes her and would make her less woman-like, rather than, which even I thought was the case, oh, it's gonna kill her. Because they do make it clear in one of the books, I can't remember which one, that it's a very, very devastating process where, as I said before, 3 in 10 boys survive and no girls have. But Triss here isn't saying, I'm glad you didn't do it because it could kill her, which kind of indicates that, okay, they know that there is a chance that girls can survive it, but even then, this is much more on about, which is a part of the reason why I really like the book, that women have their own identity and taking that away from them is evil. There is a feminine identity here which should be protected, and Ciri's now 31. She is clearly keeping, at least as portrayed in the trailer, her feminine features. However, given that she grew up with Geralt and looks up to Geralt, who is effectively her father, obviously adopted father because witches are sterile, then it's kind of no wonder that she has gone down this path. And all the point that me and Dev are making here is that this all fits into lore. I mean, at first when I saw that she had cat eyes, I thought girls died in that, but I started looking into it and it turns out, no, they're just much more likely to die. And again, this is typically something done before puberty because restructuring an entire person to go through all these mutations is apparently much easier when they are younger, but it is also likely to kill them. So again, I'm more looking forward to seeing how they are going to deal with this, what looks like to a lot of people lore break, but I can see routes to which they are going to make it fit into the wider lore. Now, I think at this point I should mention, I'm going to get into it at the end of the video, but I know that Projekt Red have had their own controversies when it comes to wokeness. And don't get me wrong, I'm worried about it. I think the game will be fine. I don't think it'll have too much nonsense in it, because I think we've got past peak woke here. However, I would be lying if I said I'm not worried. I am obviously worried, but I don't think this trailer is good enough reason to say, man, we lost the Witcher to the woke. Anyway, V then decides to reply to Dev, saying, seeing Dev running around the internet in various communities doing damage control for Ciri, I don't really know what damage has been done. Again, there's one particular screenshot where she looks a bit uncanny. My god, just quickly going back to the fight scene. This looks feminine. As I say, the outfit she's wearing doesn't make her look like a man. I mean, hell, I'm going to quickly show an older trailer. They used to show her walking properly cat-like, let's say. And then we head back to the modern trailer, and obviously this has been toned down quite significantly, but on the odd shot where you do get a full-body walk of her, there's a bit of sway there. It's obviously not as exaggerated from the older clips, but I don't really care. Like, this is how fried the culture war discussion can go. I am literally talking about a fictional character and the way they walk now, because people have decided that one pretty poor, uncanny shot from a trailer means that DEI has taken over an entire studio. It's just absurd. And then it gets much worse because you end up with the odd tourist who, I don't even understand how this happened, but somehow didn't even pay attention to Ciri in Witcher 3. Since Projekt Red is cherry-picking lore from the books in Witcher 4, all romances with Ciri will likely be lesbian or bi with men. Ciri is a bi woman, by the way. In the book, she literally has a lesbian relationship, and I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit spicy in terms of not entirely fully consensual at first. However, she then gets a tattoo on her thigh to match the one that her lover had, and in the book they say I love you to each other, and then even later in the book, Ciri's sexuality is clearly being questioned because she also tries to have sex with a dying man because he basically says, you're hot while she's dying. Unironically, the Witcher books are really good, by the way. But anyway, even when in Witcher 3, this fact is referenced. You have an entire part where you effectively are asked about Ciri's history via other characters who don't know her. They ask about the tattoo, and you can say basically, oh, it was from a woman that I loved, and then you're directly asked about literally your sexuality because there's a guy who helps Ciri in the game, and he can effectively say, oh, I fancy him, oh, he's alright, or oh, I'm a lesbian actually. Literally, those are your 3 points. It's literally in the game that you can say you're a lesbian or bisexual. And even then, she's not locked into being lesbian in the game. I doubt this is necessarily going to be taken over from Witcher 3 saves, but you can actually show interest in the guy that saved you.
I'm not in that much of a hurry.
So unless this guy played Witcher 3 and only paid attention when there was any chance there could be a romance in the game, which there's plenty by the way, then this is just a tourist. It's so embarrassing when people like this say, oh, Projekt Red are cherry-picking the lore. Now, as we've been through, it's pretty lore accurate, I'm afraid to say. Anyway, we then get plenty of brain-fried culture war commentary. No male main Witcher confirmed, so goodbye to playing as male and flirting with women. Okay? You can still flirt with women, by the way. Instead, you get DEI points and a new lesbian icon. Ciri is by no means a new lesbian icon, by the way. She has always been bi or lesbian. I don't know where that came from. In previous Witcher games, flirting was aimed at male audiences, with Geralt engaging in conversations to attract female characters. Now in Witcher 4, you, the player, will flirt as a woman with men, enjoy your demoralization, or be stuck in a lesbian simulator. Kotaku's biggest dream. If I didn't know how people could be on the internet, I would take this as a posed law. But I think this guy is saying this earnestly. Again, this is all player choice. You don't have to flirt with other women as Ciri, by the way. You don't have to do it. Anyway, I think that does it with the side of the video where I am just fed up of people seeing a terrible screenshot and assuming, oh, it's all over. One thing that didn't help, I suppose, was the fact that IGN decided to use the terrible screenshot for their thumbnail, so people probably saw this on YouTube as the thumbnail and thought, oh, this is what they're representing Ciri with? Wow, that looks terrible. However, the Witcher channel, which is run obviously by CD Projekt Red, decided to go with the much better screenshot. Clearly to them, this is how they want to represent Ciri in the game, which, again, looks good, looks gritty, looks like she's about to fight a monster. That's typically what you'd want to see in a game where most of the time you're probably going to be fighting monsters. Anyway, if you want to actually talk about why you should be worried about this game, we can get into that quickly. So the Witcher 4 executive producer said that the company is aiming for new players with the game. In an interview with IGN discussing Witcher 4 following the release of its announcement trailer at the Game Awards, Mitreja said, "We want to aim for the new players," and she elaborated the wider audience and also the people that know the franchise but who maybe do not play our games. This approach will seemingly affect not only the story but the gameplay in the game. Game director Sebastian Kalemba explained, "We create story-driven games, so we want to make sure that people that buy the games for the story, they'll be able to experience the story in their own way and they will simply be able to approach it." What this is basically signalling is that there's going to be a journalist mode. That's basically all that that's signalling. If you want a journalist mode, I guess that's fine. Witcher 3 had a very easy mode, and I'll be honest, I'm at the point in Witcher 3 where I can play the hardest difficulty and basically never die, so Witcher 3 wasn't that difficult a game anyway. But people that are looking for specific challenges, they will be able to experience the story in a challenging way, he added. There's difficulty settings, is literally all this is saying. But in regard to the story, Kalemba claims that the company wants to put player agency at the centre, and that's seemingly what they chose to make, why they chose to make Ciri the protagonist. We want to let our players define her. She's about to form her own codex on her own terms, the way she actually deals with monsters, the way she deals with quests, the adventures, in her own unique way. He continued, "We're giving more tools to the player's disposal to be able not only to play and go with the consequences narratively, but also gameplay-wise. We want to give players more opportunities to be able to feel that they define their experience." This is all basic PR speak, as I say, to say that there's probably going to be an awful lot of accessibility options. And they better be options because I'm sure the gamers in my audience will know all the issues that come around with some of these accessibility options. Some that literally don't let you die, some that haven't been able to be turned off in the past, like putting yellow paint on everything that's destructible or where you need to go, which there's no challenge to it. There's no encouragement to try and explore the area. This really is worrying because it looks much more like we want to railroad you onto these story beats rather than have you look around all these areas and effectively just solve even basic puzzles. Like, I've been playing Witcher 3 recently and I kind of forgot how confusing and maze-like some of the areas are, but it's really good because then it encourages you to explore and find nifty things that you might not have been able to, whether they be items or notes to add to the world. Whereas if you had yellow paint everywhere, it's just, oh yeah, go there, and it gives you too much information as to which way is the way and which way is the not way, and it makes exploring much less satisfying. But anyway, that's just a bugbear of mine, and this is why I'm a bit worried. But not only that, it gets slightly worse, because CD Projekt Red relatively recently added a whole diversity and inclusion section to their website. Our purpose is to create revolutionary role-playing games with memorable stories that inspire gamers. We can only deliver on these goals and promises with an amazing, passionate team whose talents and professional skills reflect the breadth of experience of the world. A diverse and inclusive work environment boosts creativity and innovation, which is exactly what is needed in order to push the limits of technology and storytelling. And the background's a gay march. And they have little sections about building a diverse team, inclusive leaders, and equitable processes, which I'd go through details of what each of these say, but their website's so stupid that you can only hover over one of these at a time, and I'm not... You know what these things would say. You know what the details will be. So you know it's just going to be the standard woke nonsense, which again, is why I can understand why people are a little sceptical about the company now. And what makes it even worse is that they have genuine achievements, quote unquote, to say how they are inclusive and diverse. So diversity in games, at CD Projekt Red, they're committed to creating rich and immersive visual worlds. That's basically the same thing that you saw at the top. Then next they've got girls in the game, so they've created a mentoring scholarship program for high school girls to take their first steps into the video game industry. Again, it's something that I keep noticing these days, which I just never saw when I was younger. But I can see why an awful lot of young men are getting quite radicalised to the right, and why girls are getting even more left-wing, because this is all left-wing stuff that is basically saying to them, we will basically focus on you and just forget about the men, because, you know, they were evil in the past. And the men are being told they're evil in the past and then have absolutely they have opportunity, obviously, but there's none of this specific opportunity, and the world just doesn't feel fair to them. And it's things like this that don't help. And then the last one I'm going through, menstrual leave. God, I remember this. So they effectively give one additional day off per month to each menstruating employee. So they don't say women who... They don't say kind of post-pubescent premenopausal women, if they want to get specific. No, it's just any menstruating employee. So they can't even call... You know, the girls in game stuff, they know what gender is for the very next achievement. But my God, when it comes to menstrual leave, no, you have to go proper, fully woke American college language to actually get that point across. But my God, you advertise to the Polish, you have to say girls. It's just crazy how this is all part of CD Projekt Red now. And as I say, this is why I'm worried. The trailer looked good. Anyway, when all this information came out, obviously people started making accusations that they had diversity hiring practices, which, as we just saw, they did. However, the CD Projekt Red CEO said that the studio does not hire only based on diversity, but it is based on merit and talent alone. Well, I've just seen that that's a lie. There was an attempt to discredit this by showing a page on the studio's website about diversity, but this also doesn't disprove that the studio hires based on talent and merit. Well, you've got an entire program that is only aimed at girls to try and give them the quote-unquote first steps into the gaming industry, which obviously that is a direct line to being hired by CG Projekt Red. So no, you don't only hire based on talent and merit. From that internship alone, you hire based on sex, which is woke. Anyway, what this whole debacle has also done is allowed for Twitter leftists to now basically claim Ciri as their own, which, given that I think she's one of the best female characters in fiction, obviously I'm biased there, but I really don't want the leftists to have her. As this tweet says, they're going to call this woke because they made Ciri look like an actual Witcher rather than a supermodel. And, okay, she doesn't look like a supermodel, but my God, she still looks very attractive. Like, this is not the type of nonsense that you see from DEI games. This is not something you would see in Dustborn. She unironically doesn't look too far off the warrior woman that Geralt has a chance to romance in Witcher 3 after having a sword fight with her. Like, why has the right wing gone so nuts on this issue? Well, this non-issue, I should say. Ciri looked fine. It's just everyone having a knee-jerk reaction because basically saying, oh, this stuff's gone woke, literally is just a grift now. This isn't woke. Right, CD Projekt Red might have gone woke, sure, but let's not say that a trailer having an uncanny image in one particular still means that the whole game's woke and terrible. It's fine to point out all the DEI stuff that they do have in CD Projekt Red, but my God, this trailer was absolutely fine. This is how screwed the right wing got on this. We now have the left drawing Ciri next to actual DEI slop from Naughty Dog. I can't remember what the game's called that the character on the right's from, but effectively it is an androgynous bald woman who, well, is apparently a woman, who is the protagonist for the next Naughty Dog game. Next to Ciri, who is very established and, as I say, looks literally like a character that I would have thought the right wing would at least say, oh yeah, she looks like a 30-year-old woman. That's really good to see. No, instead, because everything has to be so resolution now, she's of the left and therefore she now has to be ugly, when she just clearly isn't. This is what I mean. The whole psyche of people has been fried by this culture war nonsense. Does Ciri look hot? Yes. Is it cool that she's protagonist of The Witcher 4? Yes. Is that entirely within canon and predictable from the canon of the games? Yes. Is Witcher 4 going to be a good game? Literally have no idea yet, but from this trailer, From the little things like the way that she sources magic from the stream that's next to her when she's pinned up against the wall by the monster, to using the silver chain, which has literally never been in any Witcher game but was part of the arsenal of Geralt in the books. I'm excited to see all that, and she heats up the chain with her signs as well. It's all stuff I'm looking forward to, stuff that they are teasing is in the game. Those mechanics seem great. Am I probably going to buy it? Yeah, I do really like The Witcher. Am I likely to be disappointed by it? I have literally no idea at the moment. I have no idea if CD Projekt Red are pretty good at keeping HR away from game development, but from the looks of it, it doesn't look like that's the case, so we have to wait and see. Anyway, I think I've talked about this subject enough. I thought this was going to be 10 minutes, but that's how much I love The Witcher. It's got to half an hour nearly. So with that, I will leave it there. As for streams this week, it is Antiquity over on the Worcester Club tonight, so do come along to that. We're still on the Peloponnesian War. Tomorrow, hit on the Worcester Club yet again. We are doing Tosh News, so basic news that's been happening over the last 2 weeks and discussion about that, so do come along to that. Saturday, it's Laughing at the Guardian. It's the chill Christmas one, so do come along and enjoy that too. Videos out as and when I can make them, but I have a busy week this week, so the daily videos might not quite be achievable, but I'm going to do what I can. Anyway, with that, do subscribe, become a member, send super chats, super thanks. They all really do help the channel out. And once again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.